sometimes you shouldn't have to sell your soul in black and white. They really, really ought to know those one-track minds that took you for a whacking boy. Kiss them goodbye. You shouldn't have to jump for joy. You shouldn't have to shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I can do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on. They gave you life, and in return you gave them hell, as cold as ice. I hope we live to tell the tale. I hope we live to shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I can do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on. Shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I could do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on. And when you've taken down your guard, if I could change your mind, I'd really love to break your heart. I'd really love to shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I could do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on. Shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I could do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on. Shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I could do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on. Son, welcome to another horrible, terrible episode of the apocalypse. And congratulations for choosing the apocalypse. Not a very wise choice, but since when has humanity made wise decisions? Never, ever. And since you have unwisely chosen the apocalypse, you are in urgent need of a guide. Unfortunately for me, I am that guide. Your humble guide at your service, Nicholas. So bloody good to see you. It appears Leon doesn't do drugs anymore. At least that's what he said today. But we'll get to that. Now let's start this piece of bloody shit. Donnie, I'm going to work from yesterday morning to the present. Get you all caught up with all the bullshit, the downfall of your nation and shit in progress. So Donnie put a post up yesterday early 2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs I set made it virtually impossible for China to trade, that's capital, into the United States marketplace, which is by far #1 in the world. We went in effect cold turkey, that's in caps, with China, and it was devastating for them. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. So you see where this is going. Donnie did the backed off the tariffs because he was concerned about China. Here's the thing about Donnie. He doesn't care about anything but Donnie. He's proven that a millionfold. The only other thing he might care about a little bit is Ivanka. That's it. Everything else is Donnie. So he didn't back off the tariffs for China's fucking sake, although he's trying to paint that picture and have you believe it in this fucking rant I'm not even going to finish. And in fact, the exact opposite is true. There was about to be civil unrest in this fucking country because no goods were coming in. And once the shelves got empty, I'm sure Besant and all of them were whispering in Donnie's ear, if you let the shelves get empty, this is going to get out of our hands. We won't be able to stop it. So you better back down, son. So Donnie backed down, but again, Donnie doesn't want to be seen as taco or chicken. So he's trying to paint the picture that he was just concerned about China and the civil unrest there and all the problems. Again, you cannot win a trade war against China if you're America, because every greedy fuck corporation said, wow, I'm going to ship my factories overseas. Fuck America, fuck Americans, and I ain't paying an American wage, and I don't want to deal with unions, and I don't want to have to contribute to healthcare and all that bullshit. So because of corporate greed and lack of concern for the country that made them rich, they decided to ship all the factories to China. You know what that means, right, son? We can't win a trade war against China. It's impossible. And if they bring the factories back here, prices for everything goes up, I don't know, 70% at least. Maybe more. Maybe 100%. I'm not joking. So now we got this conundrum where they can't bring the factories back, otherwise your iPhone costs $6,000. What the fuck do you do? I don't know the answer to that question. Now that the greedy at the top have us in this position, because we didn't get a fucking choice. That's for damn sure. The only choice we had, again, was back in like the 70s when they first started doing this. Everyone could have just stuck to their guns and only bought American. And that would have told the corporations, if you go Chinese or Vietnamese or whatever, we're not buying your stuff. America didn't do that. Too late now. But one more time, Donnie wanted to paint the picture that he was just concerned for China's well-being. That's why he backed down on the tariffs. Donnie's such a just and righteous man, isn't he? Such concern for his fellow man, fellow countries, all of it. This story came out early yesterday about Leon Scum doing many different drugs. And it's from the New York Times. On the campaign trail, Leon Scum juggled drugs and family drama. As Mr. Musk entered Trump's orbit, his private life grew increasingly tumultuous, and his drug use was more intense than previously known. Well, he wasn't hiding it well in the first place. Let's go on here. George Conway pulled a quote out of the article. Mr. Musk's drug consumption went well beyond occasional use. I know, we could tell by all the different camera work and his slurring of his words and all kinds of different things. He told people he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that it was affecting his bladder, a known effect of chronic use. So you piss yourself if you do too much Special K for a prolonged amount of time. I didn't know that because I've never been addicted to Special K. He took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms. The ecstasy, this is something I noticed in Leon from way back. Inauguration day, yeah, he was e-bombing. And today he was e-bombing or withdrawing from it or something. I know what an ecstasy rave person looks like. And I've done ecstasy in my former years. Several times, maybe like 5 to be exact. So I know how you get when you're on it. And one of the ways you can get it is just be like, ah, yeah, even this feels good, man. Even moving your neck back and forth, just like moving around. Oh, it feels so good. That ecstasy. Oh, God. There, if there's one drug that was ever named the proper name, ecstasy is the perfect name for that drug. And I haven't done it in decades, so, I'm not on that shit now. I don't go to raves. I'm too old for all that bullshit. I wasn't a rave person back then either. I just did it, 5 times as like friends, girlfriends, things like that. Anyway, so he took ecstasy and mushrooms. I've never done mushrooms. And he traveled with a daily medication box that held 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant Adderall. According to a photo of the box, and people have seen it. Well, Donnie's on Adderall too, so maybe he was holding Donnie's smack. Or maybe he's just does the same drug. Leon comes off to me as a guy who will do many different drugs, even though he's 50-some years old and runs companies off of your welfare and stuff like that, and was co-chancellor and still is. Leon's a druggie, it appears. And he wasn't hiding it very well anyway. It's not like I couldn't tell. It's like when Don Jr. says, I don't do cocaine. Motherfucker, we got footage of you taking a gum hit on a stage. We've got footage of you doing it. Plus, Don Jr., he can't hide the fact that he's a raging cokehead, because when you're a raging cokehead, you're out of control on it. You must do it. And that's Don Jr., and it's fucking obvious. In other words, if the New York Times printed an article tomorrow that says Don Jr.'s a raging cokehead, I'd be like, yeah, I know. Did you ever watch his podcast? Are you fucking kidding me? He's so gacked fucking up on them those broadcasts he does. I don't know how anyone could watch it but to laugh. I don't know. So Leon's a walking drugstore, according to the New York Times and their sources. And honestly, Leon wasn't hiding it very well anyway. We could all tell he was on drugs. It wasn't a big secret. Oh my God, this demon. Joni Ernst yesterday, she had a town hall either yesterday or the day before, and her constituents brought up the fact that Medicaid's being cut. Donnie's basically, killing all the social programs and giving tax cuts to rich people, and who gives a fuck, right? So they brought up the Medicaid thing with her, and someone yelled out, people are going to die. In the audience, someone yelled that, and that's true. When you cut off U.S. aid, food programs, people die from that. Little children in third world countries, they fucking die from that, son. Your name's on it, by the way. As you cheer for the package. When you take health care away from people, they die. But that's the point. Eugenics is part of this. I hate to say it. I know you've heard this a million times on Alex Jones, but Alex is a fucking lying snake oil salesman. And he equated it with the liberal mentality and the liberal people. Meanwhile, it's been you the entire time, son. And Alex and Cerno and all those people. You've been the hand of Satan that led us to this moment where this demon is saying this. The maximum expression of you. So she responded to that when the person in the crowd yelled out, people will die. Well, we all are going to die. That came from a U.S. Senator from Iowa named Joni Ernst. That's where the Republican Party is at. And I've heard sentiment like that from, decades and decades of Republican politics. You people are goddamn heartless. And I mean motherfucking heartless. How do I know? Joni Ernst, motherfucker. That demon right there. You got your name on that cunt, son. I suggest you take it off. Because that's her psyche talking right there. I don't give a fuck. We're all going to die. I'll be fine. I get government paid health care, Miss Ernst. You pay for her health care, 100%, all of it. She don't pay jack shit for the rest of her fucking life. Senator, pension, everything. You're going to be paying this cunt for the rest of your life. For her to say, well, we are all going to die. You know who she's talking about? You, son! If you lose your health care, or you have a problem getting it, or maybe you're on Medicaid. Because I hate to break it to you, white people in this country get most of the welfare because there's so many more white people than black people. So welfare ain't just a black thing, son. Welfare, SNAP, all those programs, food stamps, it goes mostly to white people. Medicaid. So who's she talking about when she says, well, we're all going to die? As if, you know, she'll be fine. She'll be great. She'll get the best medical care for the rest of her haggard fucking life on your dime. So she doesn't give a fuck. But she got to come up with something to say, right? In the face of people are going to die. All of you demons have to come up with something to say in the face of that so you can sleep at night. I know. Well, we are all going to die. Unbelievable. And she's talking about you, the peasant that votes for her party. That's what they think of you. If you lose your health care, well, you know, if you die, we're all going to die. I'll live a lot longer than you because you're paying for my health care for the rest of my life and a pension. That's Miss Ernst's existence. That demon. And she made it worse. Today she did a video in a cemetery. I'll tell you about it later. I don't know how you could make this worse, but if you're a demon like Miss Ernst, I guess it's possible. And she achieved it big fucking time. But I'll get to that later. I'm going to give you the flow of it all. Supreme Court allows Trump administration for now to end Biden-era migrant program. So here's what a lot of you rubes don't know when you're spouting the talking points. These Venezuelans and these different groups of immigrants that fled different horrible areas, they had a protective status. That's why they were here. Donnie took that protective status away and loaded them on a plane and shipped them to CCOT. Some of them. Others went to Rwanda. Others went to Sudan, whatever. And who cares, right? When we're locking men and women up or God knows who for the rest of their life. We don't know what crime they committed or haven't committed. Even innocent men like Abrego Garcia, we cheer on him being locked up for the rest of his life, right? That's what you do. I wouldn't want to be you to have to answer for that, son. Glad it's not me. So now the Supreme Court has given him permission. They've co-signed this whole taking the status away and rounding these people up and shipping them God knows where. And this is after Donnie ignored their ruling regarding Abrego Garcia, by the way. That's how scared they are. Let you or someone you know ignore a Supreme Court ruling and see what fucking happens to you in a New York minute. So this is back to the Leon story. As Elon Musk entered Trump's orbit, he told people he was taking so much ketamine that it was affecting his bladder. He was also taking ecstasy mushrooms as he traveled with a daily medication box of about 20 pills. There's a reason I'm reading it twice. Oh, here's yesterday, Leon in his best Nazi outfit. He wants to come as close to dressing like a Nazi officer as he can without arousing too much suspicion. That's why he dresses like that, if you don't know. So, again, no, disrespect, no suit in the White House. That's what they said to Zelensky, a man who's actually, contributing to the world. And this was the farewell to Leon, as if he's fucking going anywhere. And then Donnie said that. Elon's really not leaving. He's going to be back and forth. And he elaborated on that. Again, proving me right when I said Leon's not going anywhere. He's the false prophet. It's a package deal. You people knew this. Don't say you didn't. And you voted for it anyway. Even though you knew we were going to have some fucked up South African co-chancellor. That's a Nazi. You knew this. You knew he was going to fire everybody. When you fire 1 million government workers, that affects you too, son. That's 1 million less people buying things. Do you understand how that works? That could affect your bottom line as well. But, you know, the racism blinds you from thoughts such as that. I know. So there's Donnie again. I read you the post in the last broadcast a couple days ago. Donnie basically saying Leon's going to always be here in different capacities. He ain't really going nowhere. Just what I said. And here's Leon saying this is not the end of Doge, but really the beginning. And the reason I'm reading you this is because, yes, it's the beginning of the dismantling and looting and ruining of your country and the world. It's just the beginning. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And those Doge scumbags, the big balls, the people just out of high school, the college dropouts, etc., they're going to be there too. Just Leon's, you know, pretending he's going away because everyone hates him so much. It's that simple. That's the only reason this is happening right now. But Leon's not going anywhere. Donnie proved it, and Leon is proving that Doge is just getting started ruining your country and stealing your info. But we'll get to that. And as Leon's on his last day, Leon has a black fucking eye. What's up with that? So he's all gacked up in the meeting, and I'll get to that. He's got a fucking black eye. It's his last day, allegedly, even though Donnie says, well, he's not really leaving. The fuck is going on with this freak? So they asked him, what happened to your eye? And Musk said, or Scum said, turns out even a 5-year-old punching you in the face, it bruises up. He's saying his little son did it. I assume that's little X. I don't know if I believe that. There's a couple other rumors going around that maybe it's Stephen Miller because of the thing going on with Leon and Stephen Miller's wife, her leaving the White House and going to work with Leon. Some say it was Scott Bessent, that Leon, there's some pieces of writing out there that explain how Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and Leon got in a physical confrontation. Again, who knows where the punch really came from? My first thought is the Stephen Miller's wife leaving the White House. You know, you think of something, what would provoke a punch that no one wants to talk about? Maybe his wife leaving, maybe they got into a little thing, or maybe it was Bessent, because Bessent has to answer for all this grifting that Donnie and Leon are doing. And he's getting a little uppity lately. He's starting to admit things on broadcast like, yeah, there's no deals with nobody. I don't know what anyone's talking about. So according to Leon, he has a black eye and he's all gacked up because his 5-year-old punched him in the eye. Why is the media ignoring this? This is Leon when Donnie was talking for a minute. And there's a video of Leon just, you know, staring into space, looking at the ceiling, just like moving around, like kind of getting the crawls and shit. Maybe he was withdrawing. Maybe he was just gacked up. I don't know. But drugs were definitely involved, and it was fucking obvious. So there's video of that. I posted a link to it in the post section. I wish I could show it to you now. But it was just like the inauguration. Leon malfunctioned or he's on ecstasy. Because again, that's the type of shit that people do when they're on ecstasy. They kind of just, you know, they let their head just kind of roll back a little bit and relax and be like, yeah, this is great. This is great. So I wonder if Leon was on ecstasy again or something. But the drugs are showing even more than usual now. It's getting to a kind of strange, weird point. And then, of course, they asked Leon about the drug article the New York Times did. And Leon didn't answer that question for shit. All he did was talk shit on the New York Times in various ways. And then said, let's move on, and laughed about it. So, again, Leon gets a New York Times article published before he gets to the White House, saying he's a fucking straight up drug addict who pisses himself. Basically, that's what it said. And he's got a black eye. And he's tweaking in the fucking Oval Office like this and looking up. What in the fuck have you ever seen anything like this? No, you haven't, son. Don't even try and say you have. Don't say Biden was worse. Don't say Bill Clinton was worse. Don't say any of that bullshit, because even you know it ain't fucking true. This shit is out of control. And then you add Hegseth and Gabbard and all those fuck-ups in there too. My God, we are fucking doomed. Do you hear me? It don't matter who you voted for either. It don't matter if you like me, agree with me. It just don't matter. We are fucking doomed. And you voted for it, if you have your name on it. This motherfucker, one more time, to repeat, gacked up in the White House like a motherfucker. He's tweaking, got the crawl, whatever the fuck's going on. He's on ecstasy and la. He's looking at the ceiling. He's got a fucking shiner. He just fired half the government, grifted billions in contracts, gacked up the whole fucking time. You paying for his flights to and fro on Air Force One and various government apparatuses. This isn't normal. You know what it is, son? It's totally illogical. Doesn't make any fucking sense. It's supernatural, that's why. Again, he had to ask a question from reporters about the drug story that came out earlier, and he did not like it, boy. And he's just a mess. Again, gacked up, shiner. He's in the White House, for fuck's sake. And they let him make a decision on who to fire and who to hire so they could make a decision on who to fire. And they gave him access to all our government information. Classified, secret, your information, all of it. Donnie had a rally yesterday, I believe. And he said that he's going to raise the tariff on steel to 50% from 25%. So Donnie's basically yelled out the further ruination of our country by imposing tariffs. Because he's grifting off those tariffs, and it's fucking obvious. Unbelievable. Again, with this tariff bullshit, it's fucking up so many businesses, fucking up the market. No one can plan anything. And I shouldn't feel sorry for these people, but I do. I feel sorry for our country that we have to go through just so some obese, orange-faced geriatric can grift. That's the only reason any of this is happening. And the intent is to ruin your country. Do you get that? They're doing it on purpose. It ain't like before when you didn't like the president and you say, they're ruining the country. No, that was never true before, ever. Now it's true. And it's intentional. Thale, Leon, Vlad, Donnie. They are intentionally ruining your country for a purpose. And when you finally understand that purpose, it will be far too late. So tariffs again, 50% on steel. I'm sure that won't kill any businesses, right, guys? And here again, you know, this thing proves everything I say about him every day. Abominations spoken every day, blasphemy spoken every day. He's the Antichrist. This is the apocalypse. He's a sociopath. He's a demon. He's the beast. Trump on Joe Biden, who recently announced a cancer diagnosis. If you feel sorry for him, don't feel so sorry because he's vicious. I really don't feel sorry for him. And he went on a little further. Again, who does that sound like he's describing himself again? I would never call Joe Biden vicious. I would call this thing vicious. Back in 2015, I would have called him vicious. Disgusting. And this thing ain't worthy to shine Joe's shoes. Joe didn't have a 5-year-old child in the Oval Office tell him to go get a shine box and you're not the president. This cunt did. Joe didn't have a guy trying his hardest to dress like a Nazi, but just not taking the last step because you might get upset about it. Richest man in the world standing next to him, firing everyone. Using the Oval Office as a fucking daycare. Joe also didn't have a super rich man all gacked up on drugs next to him every fucking day. I am just disgusted by this comment. And if anything, he's describing himself. And again, he's not worthy to shine Joe's fucking shoes. And he's talking shit after, don't feel sorry for Joe Biden because he has cancer. That's the statement that came out of this demon's mouth. And that's what he is, son. He's a demon. He's the beast. What president would ever say this? What president would think about it? Think of every president you can fucking think of in the modern era. From Nixon on up. I don't even think Nixon would say this as crooked as he was. They just wouldn't say it out loud in public. They might say it behind closed doors, whatever. That's a whole nother animal. When you say something publicly, that's a whole nother thing. When you're the president on camera, you're supposed to have a certain decorum. You're saying you shouldn't feel sorry for the last president who just got a cancer diagnosis. Who would ever say that out loud? But the beast, but the Antichrist. I can't think of anyone. It's not normal. It's not logical. It's supernatural. It's evil. Joni Ernst, again, let's go back to that, the full context. Joni was saying, when you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits, they are not eligible. Crowd, people will die. Ernst, well, we are all going to die. Again, they keep using this excuse to take things away from you. They use the illegals excuse, the rounding up of the illegals, the getting rid of due process for illegals. That's so they can get to you, you fucking moron. Do you understand that? That's the doorway. Again, all you rubes out there, all you Donnie people, picture that it's your AR-15. And they want to take that away. What's the mentality with you rubes when they want to take your AR away, your toy? Well, that opens the door to them taking the rest of the guns. That's what they're trying to do. No, what they were trying to do, son, is save your child. That's what the Democrats and liberals were trying to do. By taking the ARs. Why? Because the ARs and the 100-round clips, they kill a lot of people at once, and they have no business on the street. They didn't want to come take the rest of your guns away. They wanted to take the gun away that's killing your children. And I guess you'll never understand till you lose someone you care about through that. Then maybe you'll look at the gun under a different light. I don't know. But my point is, look at the illegals thing, the taking away of all rights, sending people to death camps for the rest of their lives, getting rid of due process. Then Donnie mentions next up is the homegrowns. Next up after that is the homegrowns that aren't in prison. You. So this, illegals are getting Medicaid. Illegals are getting welfare. Blah, blah. That's just the door opener to getting rid of welfare. All you white people that are on it. That means you too. That's all it is. Just like if the way you think when they say they want to take your AR-15. Even though you're wrong in that thinking, I want you to use that process. When they round these people up and ship them to death camps, and Donnie says again, next up are the homegrowns, as he's laughing with a dictator that takes your money to lock people up forever till they die. That's just evil, and that's the doorway to them doing it to you. So as you're clapping like a seal, as these people get no due process, and they get rounded up and thrown on a plane and sent to a place they will never walk out of. Next up is you fucking moron. That's how fascism works. That's how dictatorships work. You're already in one. Too late. Too late. So the reason the word illegals is coming up every 5 seconds now, regarding everything, Medicaid, due process, social programs in general, they always throw out that bullshit. The illegals are on it, so we need to take some money away or get rid of it. You people aren't very smart, are you? That clap for this shit. Because again, it's way more white people on welfare in this country. So when I say Miss Ernst is up there using the illegals getting Medicaid as an excuse to cut fucking Medicaid, that's you, son. That's your Medicaid that's getting cut. Under the guise of, well, illegals are on the program, so that means you got to end the whole fucking thing? For me? Even if that was true, which it's not. You can't sign up for benefits if you're an illegal unless you're from South Africa and they just ship 50 in on your dime. They're the only ones that get the straight up access to help. Fucking ridiculous. I can't believe people are falling for this. We don't need due process for illegals. Round them up, send them to a death camp in a country they're not even from. And then, again, you hear your orange messiah in the White House say, next up is the homegrowns. And you still have your name on it? You're insane. But don't worry, it'll come knocking on your door. And when it does again, by that time, it'll be too late once it's knocking on your door. This is just a random comment. Trump, prescription drug addict. Musk, prescription drug addict. Pete Hegseth, alcoholic. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., heroin addict. Trump's White House is the Betty Ford clinic for wealthy white nationalists. Indeed. But that's always been the attitude, hasn't it? The elitist people, the elite people of the world, they can be on as much drugs as they want. They don't get drug tested for CEO. You get drug tested for the entry-level $12 an hour, janitor job. It's ridiculous. It's astounding. And yes, all this is true. Donnie's on drugs every day, I can tell, by his pupils. Leon, oh my God, do we even need to pretend that Leon's not on drugs? Kennedy, I think he's still doing heroin. I've told you in previous broadcasts, I don't believe that bullshit that he stopped doing it. His mind is gone. He sounds like he's got 8 frogs in his throat when he talks. The motherfucker is a walking zombie of evil. He doesn't even know where he is half the time, I can tell. Yeah, he gacked up on that smack still, son. I ain't buying, I used to do it. No. Why would you stop? You're a Kennedy. No one says no to you. And he just acts too strange all the time. He's gacked up on that smack still. Let's be honest. But, if you're on drugs, he wants to put you in a work camp. You heard that idea by RFK, the psycho, the sociopath? Yeah, there's a whole interview where him talking about it. Drug addicts could go to work camps and work. That don't sound like a concentration camp at all, does it, son? And he talked about it openly. As if it's some new, refreshing idea. No, Adolf Hitler had the same goddamn idea. Meanwhile, RFK on that needle. Meanwhile, Adolf Hitler taking every drug that isn't nailed down. Taking cocktail after cocktail, mixed up by his doctors. You know, the kind of doctor that Michael Jackson had. That kind of doctor. Where Michael just said, hey, I want to go to sleep. Can you shoot me up with what's that called? Anesthesia? I mean, that's insane. That's when you know you've gotten too, I don't know what the word is, big. When you're asking your doctor to shoot you up with an anesthetic to go to sleep, as if you're about to get an operation, son. That's hard motherfucking core. And that's thinking you're immortal, too. So, yeah. The president's a drug addict. The Doge co-chancellor is a drug addict. Pete Hegseth's an alcoholic. And Kennedy's a drug addict. Yeah. That's what we got. The hell's on my... Oh, when Leon was kind of in his drug rant, Leon was staring up at the ceiling, and I saw some footage of the ceiling of the Oval Office, and it looked like a new seal with an eagle had been put up there or something. I don't know if that's real. But Leon was looking up at the ceiling, and he said he loved the gold-painted accents and how they restore the majesty of the office. First of all, the Oval Office isn't supposed to have majesty. Why? Because you're not a fucking king, that's why. You don't buy a bunch of wood trim and different trinkets from Home Depot and spray paint them gold and put them around the room like it's, I don't know, Trump Taj Mahal or something. It doesn't bring any majesty to the room. It looks gaudy as fuck. And everybody knows Trump, his whole life is all about gaudy. What are you witnessing? As more gold and trinkets and majesty gets added to the Oval Office, you're witnessing the loss of your country and the turning of the Oval Office into no longer where a president sits, where a Caesar or a king sits. That's what he's doing. Right in front of your fucking face. And it gets more normalized every day. And you get Leon in there with his shiner, gacked up on ketamine, talking about how beautiful it all looks. And talking about majesty. Take a look at the White House each day when you see these press briefings from the Oval. Look how gaudy and more crazy and more kingly it's getting. Or should I say Caesarly? As it becomes more and more like that, you should be becoming more and more terrified. You should be becoming more and more terrified. They rounded up some people today, full fucking military gear. I mean full. Like they were going on into a war zone for combat. Threw tear gas and everything at people in the neighborhood. We've already crossed the threshold of rounding people up with no due process and sending them to a death camp on your dime. Now we're getting a point where these troops are having to fight the public with tear gas, etc., in full military gear. This a slippery damn slope we on, and we already halfway down it. People better wake up, man. America's been over, by the way. Now it's going into full, we're just so close to full totalitarian. I couldn't believe that footage I saw today, how much gear these fucking soldiers had on, throwing tear gas at the public. In America, son, under the guise of rounding up illegals. You fucking idiots. Again, that's always the excuse for the trampling of the fucking Constitution. Illegals. Again, think of it like your AR-15. That's the doorway to get to you. And they even hide in it. Donnie said it out loud. Next up, the homegrowns. So as the White House gets more and more gold and more gaudy, that's your country slipping away each day. Your presidency turning into a kingship or censorship more and more each day. That's what you're witnessing. As you joke about it, as you laugh about it with your coworkers or whatever. Look at the Oval, it's so gaudy, blah, blah. You don't understand the bigger picture, though. What he's doing. This man said he wants Greenland, Gaza, Canada, offered troops to help out in Mexico. That's help out in quotes, by the way. Where the fuck you think this is going, son? You saw the Nazi salute, right? If you don't know about the Nazi salute that Leon did, you better ask somebody. Oh, this was a top and bottom comparison of Leon gacked up at the inauguration and gacked up in the White House today. And it was a little video. I posted it in the post section. Oh, is that haggard-ass Brooke Rollins behind him? God, she's a hag. Very similar look in the eyes, would you say? And now he's got a black eye to go with it. And if you watch the videos, he was doing similar things that he was doing inauguration. Like, oh God, the E's kicking in, baby. It took a half hour, but it's kicking in. That ecstasy, boy, that's a dangerous ass drug. That feels way too good. Way too good. And it lasts for hours. And when you come down off it the next morning or whatever, you're just like, reality. So it fucks with your head a little bit too. You could go into a depression or something off of that shit. Big time. Because man, when you're on it, you on top of the world. It's the most wonderful feeling. Good thing it cost, back in my day, it cost $25 a pill, so poor people really couldn't be doing that all the time. But once in a while, we experimented decades ago. And it's probably the most wonderful drug I've ever done. So I see why Leon likes it, but, you know, he's 50-some years old. He runs companies because you gave him welfare. He has an office in the White House now, which he paid for. He's co-chancellor. You know, you got to set an example. You don't want to be like Hitler fucking at the Olympics or whatever he was, like shaking like a fucking freak. Totally normal. I bet all the Germans back then that supported him. Oh, totally normal. You know, that's just Adolf tweaking in his chair. He couldn't even stand. He couldn't even sit still. He's tweaking sitting down, son. And people voted for that. People preached for that, in favor of that back in that day. And you people that have your name on Donnie, you're preaching for it right now. You don't even know. I wonder how many of you have ancestors that died in World War II just so you could put Nazis in power. Literal Nazis. I'm not joking. Literal. Nazi salute and everything, son. Israel blocked a planned Sunday visit by the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, and Turkey to the Palestinian Authority. So you were about to have a huge Arab summit in Palestine, and Netanyahu said, oh, no, I know what that's about. That's about a Palestinian state. I ain't having that. I want no part of that. That's why he did it. I assume. And he literally blocked this meeting from happening. Okay, Leon's data center in Memphis is poisoning people. It's burning methane. And it's burning enough to power a city, allegedly, with no permits and no pollution controls. Locals say they can't breathe and they're getting sick. Let me tell you a quick story. I lived in New Jersey for most of my life. Southern New Jersey. Totally different than northern New Jersey. A different animal completely. Northern New Jersey is close to New York. You got Newark, Camden, a whole bunch of horrid Trenton, horrid cities. Horrid. I've been to them. As you travel up to North Jersey on, I believe it's the Parkway, you get to sections of northern Jersey that the air itself reeks of industry. Reeks of it. I know 2 people that grew up there. I worked with them for years, became friends with them. An older woman and her nephew, who was my age or a little younger. They both got cancer. They're from that area. I went once with them to visit their family. I remember us driving through the area, and when the smell first hit me, and I'm thinking, these people lived in this? They grew up in this? It was horrible. It sounds like this is what's happening in Memphis with Leon's methane bullshit. Fucking dangerous. It's one of his data centers. So these huge data centers that are being built, they're going to be polluting the area they're in, so you better hope one isn't near you. So that's one thing that comes along with the new data centers and the current ones. Another thing which I didn't know, because I haven't researched this very much, because I know what the data centers are for. They require massive amounts of water to cool these computers, I guess, supercomputers. There's another industry that requires massive amounts of water to cool something. Nuclear power. That's why they're always near a water source. I just despise the thought of that water being used, being irradiated, basically. And I don't want to hear that it's not. The water for these data centers, massive amounts being used. You're telling me that's not going to have an impact on the ecology around it? Of course it fucking will. God knows what that water's going to be like once it's returned to the environment as well. Just like the nuke plants. So this is one of the things that comes along with the data centers. Pollution. Here's a random comment. Hunter Biden was a private citizen going through addiction, and it was nonstop attacks on him and his family. But when the most powerful person in the federal government is just high on ketamine and Adderall all the time, it's complete silence because you fuckers believe in nothing. That sounds like me. I say that all the time. You people have your name on this, and Republican Party in general, you don't believe in anything. How do I know that? Because you go wherever the MAGA wind blows and you spout the inverse of reality daily, all day. That's how I know you don't believe in anything. Just a couple ways. There's a million ways. Just like this person said, we'll talk about Hunter Biden all day, you people. You'll spout the talking points given you by Russia about Hunter and the drug addiction stuff. But Leon gacked up, no problem, because it's got an R next to it. Don Jr. gacked up on coke all the time, no problem. Donnie on Adderall to the point chunks are coming out his fucking nose, no problem. That's how we know out here in non-sociopath land that you don't believe in jack fucking shit except your team winning because it makes you feel good somehow. That cost you your country already. It's going to cost you a lot more in the future. If you take the mark, it's going to cost you your soul as well. All up to you. And someone asked Donnie Shitbags if he's troubled by Leon being gacked up on drugs all the time. Let's hear what he said. A reporter just asked Donnie if he's troubled by the reports of Leon scum using drugs, and he said, I'm not troubled by anything with Elon. Republicans screamed about private citizen Hunter Biden for years, but Elon, they're not troubled. Now, Donnie said more than that, but that's the main point Donnie was making. I'm not troubled by anything with Elon. Like, whatever. I'm on drugs too. What's the difference? And, you know, he's beast number 2, so I got to keep him around. Unbelievable. How many times have we heard Donnie talking about Hunter Biden when his own son is gacked up on coke 24 hours a day? And Donnie's gacked up too. Obviously. This is the lovely Jessica Tarloff on Fox News, and I don't know why they have her on. I guess just to laugh at her, because she just dismantles every bullshit inversion of reality that they put forth for you people. If that was a Democratic Doge master who showed up with a shiner and there was a report, he did so much ketamine he couldn't pee straight, you would be leading your show with it. Yeah. I mean, hey, Hunter Biden wasn't in office and you people spent how many countless hours talking about that nothing story just to get to Joe. How's that working out for you now? Not too good. Don't worry, it's going to get a million times worse. And, you know, Jessica has such a way with words. I really dig how she puts things. Very concise, articulate, just, I love what she does. Great work. And it takes a lot of, I don't know what to say, spine to sit next to those demons on the Fox News panel. The one guy that always wears like the regular shirt like me, that laughs at her, everything she says. You know, it's not easy to sit next to that waste of oxygen. I get it, Jessica, I get it. Well done. You do a great job. And you spout reality in the face of lies and liars. That's all she has to do. She doesn't have to scheme. She doesn't have to think. She just says reality. That's all she does. As the Fox people, and you know, they got to come up with some weird fucking inversion twisting of reality to get to where they have you spouting talking points in support of evil and calling it good, literally. That's what they got to do. Mental gymnastics. Jessica doesn't have to do that. She just spouts reality, kind of like me. I just spout reality, man. That's all I'm doing. It's a shame that reality offends so many people. Because they don't live in it. And they don't live in it to the point, son, that they gave Donnie Shitbags the keys to the White House so he could grift they money again. That's how far out of reality they live. And they cheer on the con man, and they protect the con man, and they send him their money, and they let him grift using the presidency. They let him sell $5 million gold cards, and they defend that. They let him take $400 million bribe planes, and they defend that. As long as it's not a liberal, that attitude cost you your country. It's long over. I don't know if you've noticed. I didn't think it would happen this fast. It's the pace of it's just astounding. Another reason I know it's supernatural. Okay, are you ready for some real dystopia? Take a look at this. Palantir. Peter Thiel's company. Guess what? Trump taps Palantir to create master database on every American. Musk, scum, Thiel, Donnie, the Russians. Let me stay on this for a second. A obese South African waste of oxygen finds some high school people right out of high school, some college dropouts, and various assorted demons that will be pariahs for the rest of their life because of this. They come in and access every government system to the point that people were thrown out of buildings for trying to stop them, trying to help you fucking rube out there with your name on this. They infiltrated every system, allowed their program their AI into it so they could the AI could weave its way through all of our government systems, classified, not classified, your info, my info. We had court hearings over it. We've had fights over it. Then, right around the end, when they're on their last part of the government, we find out that they created a bunch of new accounts to get into the system with passwords. 15 minutes later, the Russians were trying to access with the correct password. So Doge is working in cahoots with the Russians. That's one part of this dystopia. Leon and Doge had access to all of our information. They have everything. Suddenly, out of nowhere, remember the big information fight? Remember that they're building data centers all over the place, and Leon already has one. And then we hear about this. A company run by Peter Thiel, who's going to create a master database on every American. I wonder where they're going to get all the information from for their database. I believe I heard about a fight over information recently. Your information, my information, classified information. Then I hear about a Reich that's about to build a bunch of data centers for AI. And then the cherry on top of it is this Palantir thing. Have you connected the dots yet? Rubes. Especially. Where do you think your information is going? Well, it's going to go to Mr. Thiel. It already went to the Russians. Why? How is that possible? Well, Doge and Leon just stole all your information. That's how it's possible. It's over. You made it happen. Pat yourself on the back. Every bit of information about you and your family and your entire life will be in Mr. Thiel's hands, will be in the Reich's hands, Leon's hands, Doge's hands, and Vlad Putin's hands. That's what you've achieved by owning the libs and putting a con man traitor who tried to overthrow your government back in power with your name on it. If he overthrew the government and took over, I couldn't really blame you, could I? No, you gave him permission. You handed him the keys to the vault. To your most precious possession, all the info about you and your family and your country and your freedom and your rights, everything gone. All of our allies gone. Here's Leon Scum's existence, and I thought this was brilliant how they broke it all down. You've got door number 1, 2, and 3 and a choice at the top. Which one does Leon choose? Number 1 is enjoy life. Number 2, buy a fancy house and yacht. I've said this a million times. Why can't these guys just enjoy their money? But I'll give you the answer to that in a second. Number 3, drugs, Heil Hitler, support Russia, attack Western democracy. And then on the bottom, you have Leon Scum kicking in door number 3 because that's his existence. Now, when you ask yourself as a human, and I've asked myself many times because I'm not a sociopath like these people that have centibillions, just obscene amounts of money, why can't you just lay back and enjoy the money and, just enjoy it? Why you got to ruin the world on top of it? Why do you want more power? Why can't you just be satisfied? Here's why. I'm going to give you the direct answer to that question, irrefutable. If all of a sudden they turn good tomorrow and start feeding the hungry and doing this and doing that and turn into a saint, guess what happens to them? They lose the empire. They lose the blessing. Whose blessing? Satan's blessing. There's a reason certain sociopaths get elevated to the top, highest levels of society. And that's mostly what's there. There's very few righteous men. Very few. The reason is a certain imp knows they can use them, or they worship him outright. In various different ways. There's various ways to worship Satan. I won't list them. It might offend a bunch of people. So if all of a sudden tomorrow Leon turns into a saint and starts giving his money to the peasants, and he tries to keep some empire for himself and still be this rich man, it won't work. He'll lose the blessing. Now, there are some of you out there, very few, that are blessed by God with money. That's a different scenario. Most of you with obscene amounts of money are straight up sociopaths that the imp knows he can use, or you've let him know by worshiping him. If they, again, turn over a new leaf, they don't have the blessing anymore. The dark blessing, if you want to call it that. That's simple. That's the paradigm you're in. And again, I want to make this real clear. I'm not saying every single rich person is of Satan. No. I'm saying most are. Breaking: Israel blocks the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, and Turkey from visiting the West Bank on Sunday. And again, there's a reason I read that twice. This is Donnie being asked about tariffs and how they will affect Leon's company. Are you concerned that tariffs may also affect companies like Tesla, which has parts manufactured abroad? Trump: he's going to end up building his whole car here. All of the manufacturers will make their parts here too. Over the next year, they've got to have the whole thing built in America. We want America to buy American-built cars. Now, again, people, rubes, you know, if all the car parts and the cars is manufactured in America, the price goes up exponentially. What the fuck are we going to do when a Toyota Corolla costs, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of money? What are we going to do? It'll sure slow traffic, or it'll clear up some traffic on the road, because no one will be able to afford a car. But maybe that's the goal they want. Or maybe it's the isolationist yet globalist goal of no borders in North America all the way down to South America. But we have to make everything here. We have to be more sustainable. These three regional oligarchies. I assume one would be North America, from Greenland to South America, the top portion. The other one would be Vlad having Europe and that whole thing. And then the Asian, Xi and his people would have their oligarchy. I'm not joking. That's the plan. And they ain't hiding it. There's a reason they've been talking about taking Greenland for almost 10 years, and now they're really talking about it. And Canada, and Mexico, and the Suez, and Panama, and Gaza. Again, none of that's logical. No other presidents would ever talk like that. That's how you know you're in something different this time, son. You're in something supernatural. And there's not going to be, let me cross my fingers and hope for the midterms, hope for the next presidential election. It's not going to happen this time. I'm sorry. Again, I don't take any pleasure in this. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. Because you need to prepare yourself, and so do I, and so does everyone else. It's going to get horrific. It already is horrific for a lot of people. It just hasn't hit me or you yet. That's how come you're not saying it's horrific. The person in CCOT for the rest of his fucking life that did absolutely nothing, that had protective status under Joe Biden, that person's witnessing the full fury of Satan and the Reich. You just ain't got to that place yet. You will, I promise you. So what is Donnie essentially doing? Ruining Leon's business already ruining Leon's business more than Leon ruined it already. That's what Donnie's doing by this. And all the car manufacturers. They can't make everything here in America unless you want the price to go way up. That's why it's where it is. We should have handled this back in the 70s again and said, if you ship your factory overseas, we, put a tariff on you of some obscene amount, which makes it, not even worth doing business. That would have kept the jobs and factories here, and the wages would have had to increase. And we would have had the infrastructure here already, and everybody be used to the wages, etc. But that's not where we're at. We shipped it to the third world. They pimped out their people. Now we can't bring it back. Otherwise, the prices go up exponentially. He's fucking Leon and a lot of people with this. That's how much this tariff grift means to him. There's only one logical reason why it would mean this much to him. Because he can dip his hand in the fucking treasury. That's why. And he can manipulate the market, of course. But when you can just dip into the treasury, who even gives a fuck about the market, honestly? It's the only logical thing that makes sense why he's so much into these tariffs and everyone else isn't. Even Leon was talking shit on the tariffs the other day. This is a bit strange, and I've known this for a long time. I just don't talk about it very often. Mike Johnson procured a 14-year-old boy when he was a 25-year-old unmarried man and calls it an informal adoption. Matt Gaetz acquired a 14-year-old boy named Nestor, who when he was a 30-year-old unmarried man, that's when he adopted Nestor, when he was 30, when Gaetz was 30, and calls it an informal adoption. Does this seem fishy as fuck to you? Yes, it does. And again, we want to talk about liberals being the freaky people. You might want to rethink that. Just saying. This is a random comment. Just so we're clear, a Sieg Heil is not a side effect of ketamine. Exactly. A lot of trolls and people want to blame Leon's Nazi salute and some of the things he does on drugs or autism or whatever. Autism has nothing to do with character. There's character, and then there's mental disorders or emotional disorders. Different thing. Utterly. A lot of humans mix up the two. Character is separate from condition. So there's no excuses for Leon. The drugs or he's autistic, he's got Asperger's, whatever. No, that has nothing to do with his character. What condition he may or may not have. The drugs he may or may not be doing. Character. What he truly believes in. Autism, Asperger's, drugs won't mess with that. So again, a Sieg Heil is not a side effect of ketamine. That's a person who believes in Nazi ideology, son, and he grew up in that culture. That's what white South Africa started on, Nazism. Kind of makes sense that apartheid happened, right? If it was founded by Nazis, right? Of course it does. Oh, here's Crazy Joe. He stopped by the White House. Brought Donnie some tacos. Look at Joe. Ain't he looking good? He just wanted to help Donnie out. This, okay, more about Palantir, Peter Thiel. This is an example, and I've known this for a while about China. I've been saying it for years. China is 1984, the novel 1984. People are under constant surveillance. There is no freedom there. It is a fucking police state it's a dictatorship. Russia too, but Russia doesn't have the money and technology and ability to implement it like China already has. China came up with a thing years ago called a social credit score. It's not a good thing. China came up with the ability to surveil you wherever you are. Various cameras pick you up, sensors. They have footage of it. That's what this video is. I put a link to it in the post section earlier today. The reason people are talking about this is why Thale is developing an information file on you. China's doing the same thing. They've already done it. They have people doing it. They have people reporting on their neighbors' activity. They have people helping implement this further. I've watched how it works on video. You're walking down the sidewalk, whatever you're doing, going about your daily business, there's a camera following it, and a different camera picks you up. And your little tag comes up next to you, says who you are, all the information they need about you. Constant surveillance, inescapable surveillance. Social credit score, when they film you doing something wrong that society deems wrong, or the Reich does, or the dictatorship does. You jaywalk, you do this, you do that. Sometimes they'll broadcast it publicly on the news to shame you. I'm not joking, son. It's a way to utterly and totally control people and shame them in front of their fellow citizens as well. In other words, they will have every bit of information on you that via Peter Thale and Leon and Doge. Then the surveillance, we already have cameras pretty much anywhere. They'll add more. You'll have global satellite coverage by Starlink. That's really what it's for. AI run drones and God knows what else. I'm talking about full dystopia here. That's where we're going. That's why I'm talking about the Chinese social credit score. As your social credit score goes down, or social score goes down, it becomes harder for you to do things, participate in society. There are punishments. We already partially have that idea here. We've had it for decades. It's called a credit score. There are punishments, aren't there, for being a peasant with bad credit, aren't there, son? What do you think that is? That's a social score in the making. The next step after a credit score is China. And we're doing it now with Leon, again, Donnie and Thale. This is where your society is going. This is where your country is going. I promise you. You think Thale got millions of dollars in contracts for nothing, son? You think they gave $500 billion to Altman to build data centers for nothing? You think your info ain't going to be in those data centers? They got to have computer space to track, the 97,000 people that go down a sidewalk per day and keep a record of that. That's what the data centers are for. Morons with your name on this. Massive amounts of data. They're going to keep a record of you. It's got to go somewhere, right? I assume it'll go in the data center. And the AI will constantly be able to monitor that and go back to it. If it catches you doing something, if it sees you, go back, that record of you. Where's he been? What has he done? What does he spend his money on? What goes hand in hand with this 1984 social credit score or social score type of dystopia? Well, you're going to have to have some type of tracking device as well, I assume. Or a mark. Maybe. That would go perfectly along with the satellites, with the cameras, with the sensors, with the record keeping. This is where we're going. China hasn't even fully implemented it yet, but it's pretty much there. There are people already doing it, reporting on their neighbors, all kinds of stuff. I told you that's where this fascist movement would go. That's where they all go. Where your neighbor tells on you, your son tells on you, your wife tells on you, your coworker tells on you. Because they're worried about what's going to happen to them. So they offer you up as the sacrificial lamb. You rubes really should have read more books about Nazi Germany and how it really was. Maybe you would have learned a lesson that it had nothing to do with socialism and it was all fascist dictatorship. Maybe. I doubt it. So this person's saying, coming soon to America thanks to Trump's partnership with Palantir. Do you get it now? Indeed, do you? Leon and Doge steal all your information. The Russians have passwords and credentials to get in and look at your information. Then Donnie gives a contract to Thale to keep data on you. Where do you think the data came from? Where do you think it's going to come from? It already came from Doge and Leon, of course. That's where your society's going. Social scores, cameras, sensors, drones. We've already had the credit score thing for decades, keeping a lot of people down. Donnie files bankruptcy every 5 seconds. He seems to have plenty of money. Again, 2 sets of rules. We can watch George Bush Jr., Donnie Shitbags, Leon Scum fail in business endeavor after business endeavor. Yet they're filthy rich. They get more welfare. And they're touted as successful. I don't know, when you file bankruptcy, do you get to keep all your shit? You don't have to pay nothing? No, that's not how it works. It's just, rich people don't have to worry about a credit score, do they? But poor people do. And that's the point of it. Keeping a certain segment down, you know? That's what they do in China. Except in China, if you jaywalk or something and the AI catches you, they broadcast that on the 6 o'clock news in your community. China is 1984. We are heading to 1984 at the speed of fucking light. Fascinating to watch so many rubes and fools still preach it as positive, when even they know it's over. Tulsi Gabbard wants to turn Trump's daily intel briefings into Fox News type broadcasts because he doesn't read. It's over. Indeed. The president doesn't read. Can't understand briefings unless they're Fox News style. Yeah, America's over. Just prove my point. Gabbard is reportedly contemplating bringing in a Fox News producer and host to reshape the president's daily brief. Guess what else is involved in the daily brief, son? NBC News reported that the process could involve granting the Fox News team security clearance to access classified information. Oh, yay! Another party of incompetent fucking liars gets to look at classified info. Doge has it. Big Balls just came out of high school. He has it. All the other cunts that dropped out of college, they have the information. Vlad's got the information. Now we're going to give more Fox News people the information. Hegseth's wife has the information. Jeff Goldberg has the information. Anybody else? Oh my God. Your country's over, son. You know that, right? This is Anonymous making an excellent point, and it's a point I've been trying to make a long time. It took the Nazis 10 years to get to the Holocaust phase. That's 10 years Germans believe they'd get another election, or that maybe it won't be so bad. That's where the majority of the U.S. is right now. Exactly. The German people sat back and watched from 1933 to 1945 as Hitler just took over. That's why when a guy tries to overthrow the government and he goes to jail for it, you don't vote for him. In fact, you leave him in jail for a while. Because that's a traitor to their country, as Hitler proved to be, didn't he? He was the literal downfall of Germany. My God, did they suffer. We got the same thing, if not worse, now. That's where this is going. I'm sorry to tell you. And there's no stopping it. All you can do is take your name off it. And maybe avoid the lake. That's all you can do. So I assume, just like today, a lot of Germans were, it's not so bad, it's just politics, blah, 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 fucking blah, the same old bullshit we hear today from people that vote for a Reich or a dictator or Satan and then try and turn it into something good because they have to. Because their name's on it. Where Hitler took things, that's where this is going. On every level. And no, there won't be another election, I'm sorry. And if there is, it'll be like a Vlad Putin election where, Vlad gets 97% of the vote. So again, no crossing your fingers till midterms. Oh, we'll get out of this. No crossing your fingers till the next president. He staged a coup last time. That should be some indicator how this time will go. Okay? Even the Rube should be able to see that point. Here's a picture of the first black president and the first black-mailed president. The first black president, Barack Obama, is at the top. The first black-mailed president, Donnie Shitbags. Vlad owns that ass. And Donnie proves that daily. Vlad leaked the Donnie Krasnov stuff, letting us know that they call him Krasnov behind his back, because Krasnov was a traitor to Russia. I don't know if you know that. Since 1987, Donnie Krasnov, owned by Vlad, up to this minute. And you gave him the keys. That's why you're a traitor. I'm sorry to break it to you. Donnie Trump and his favorite advisor. That's usually a joke. This time it's the literal truth. Which again is astounding that some of you humans out there, you looked at the Antichrist who tried to overthrow your government and stole 3,000 classified documents. And you said, you know what? I like what I see. You know what you really like? You know why you voted for this? For this thing? Because you're of Satan. That's why. That's who gave him the blessing. That's who has you blinded right now. And again, I know you've heard talk like this decades and decades of person after person saying things like I'm saying. This time is different. And it's obvious. So this picture is the literal truth. The literal truth. Amazing. If you doubt me, go watch the commercial again, the AI-generated commercial for the Trump Gaza resort, complete with the 40-foot tall gold Donnie statue on the Holy Land. The gold Donnie balloons that the peasants are running around with. The gold Donnie trinkets they're selling on street corners. Go back to the clip of Donnie saying, we're going to own Gaza. Then ask yourself, could that picture be the literal truth? I've never seen any other presidents want gold statues of themselves on the Holy Land. Have you? Palantir has received more than $113 million in funds from Trump, including additional existing contracts with the DHS and the Pentagon. Defense also gave Palantir a $795 million contract last week. What would Thale be? What would Leon be without American welfare? I mean, really. Every time I hear the word contract involved with these people, get the fuck out of here. That's welfare, son. That's keeping your business open. Who the fuck else is giving you $795 million contracts? No one! You fucking welfare queens. Yet you want to take the welfare away from all the poor people. And you want a tax cut on top of it. As you have your fucking handout. Greasy ass Peter Thale. Just taking that welfare. And you people dare talk about the parasite class and we need to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. That's you, son. Leon, Thale, Donnie. Waste, fraud, and abuse. Never seen three bigger leeches on society. My God, you people you get the title. Petey Thale, Donnie Shitbags, and Leon Scum. The fucking title, $795 million, son. That's yo money. Do you understand that? That Thale just pocketed. And that's just one contract. You fucking fools. As you point at the brown-skinned immigrant that mows your fucking lawn for deportation to help the Reich out. As you get robbed straight up by Thale, Scum, and Donnie. Astounding to watch. Your country's already gone. That's a foregone conclusion. Now we're talking about dystopia and where all your money's going. Again, a random comment. Canada and Mexico, there is still time to prepare. Eventually, Trump will evade and you will need to defend. Yes. Already 4 months in, so many of you and so many countries, I guarantee, that won't happen. That's just Donnie. That won't happen. Look at all the things that have happened. I'm not going to list them all again. I'll just say CCOT for one. Death camp. You never walk out of. You can't talk to the outside world. That's a fucking death sentence. Overcrowded cells. Death sentence. Could you handle it, son? No. None of you. No one in government either. They couldn't handle it either. As tough as they love to pretend they fucking are. Donnie and the boys. None of them could handle it for 5 minutes. It's a fucking death sentence. It's torture. They're not even from that country. So yeah, people think Greenland ain't gonna happen. People think Canada ain't gonna happen. People think Mexico ain't gonna happen. People think Panama, the Suez, Gaza ain't gonna happen. It's all gonna happen. Why? Because this is supernatural. This is the beast. This is that new world order thing that you pointed and said liberals would do. Even after you heard George Bush Sr. give the speech. No, it was you, son. Again. All you Alex Jones people, all you hardcore right-wingers for decades and decades, you were the hand of Satan. You were the hand of the New World Order. The irony is astounding. How many right-wing podcasters, broadcasters made millions or billions, ginning you people up with lies, literally being the hand of the New World Order, as were you. It's just kind of ironic watching the right side of politics, which is always the closest thing to fascism anyway, become the literal hand of Satan for decades and decades. Because this goes back a long way. All of you that voted for it, you were the hand of Satan as well. You know that, right? You need to get your name off it. That's all I can say, son. And it ain't going to do nothing for me. And I suggest you take the anger out your head at me. Don't show me by going to the lake. You know what I mean? Bad decision. Bad decision. So Canada and Mexico, prepare. Greenland, prepare. I'm saying the same thing Anonymous is saying. And I've been saying it for a long time. The second all this was mentioned, taking Canada, taking Greenland, taking the Suez, Panama, etc., taking Gaza. He said it out loud again, people. We're going to own it. Nothing natural about this, and they mean these things. This is the opportunity people like Netanyahu been waiting for forever, for their whole life. People like Donnie, Leon, Thale, their whole life they've been waiting for this. Donnie's been talking about running for president since the early fucking 80s. He's been coveting this grift, this con that you allowed him, that you gave him the keys to, for decades and decades, going to back to the 1980s. Thale and Leon, they've been all about this their whole life. And you gave them the keys again. Sad to watch you people just give your country away. My country too. I got to suffer you and them and what the right does to all of us. And our country. It's over. There's no going back. Let's go taco. Joe modeling a new t-shirt. Crazy Joe Biden. Looking good. Looking good. Joni Ernst again. Okay, so yesterday she said, well, you know, everyone's going to die. Everyone has to die. To a question about Medicare or Medicaid being taken away from people. People are going to die. Well, everybody dies. We all have to die sometime. So Miss Ernst saw the abject backlash over that. My God, she might as well be a cast member of the Hunger Games, one of the elite government people, with that kind of statement. That shows a real disconnect from anyone that's not a sociopath and isn't a rich elitist in government. Because again, her health care is paid for by you the rest of her fucking life. The best health care. She ain't got to pay a fucking dime. You're paying it. As you scramble to figure out how you're going to get your medications this fucking month. She don't have a worry on her head. She just go right to the doctor and you pay the goddamn bill. So she realized that she's in some real deep shit with this. And a lot of people in Iowa are going to lose Medicaid, by the way. White people. Because of her. Voting for it. And then she has the audacity to say, well, you know, everyone has to die sometime. So here she is. She's walking through a cemetery. And she tries to come off in the beginning of the video as sort of apologetic. This is one strange individual, by the way. Total sociopath. There's just nothing there. She gives us, even the tone of her voice sounded fake. No sincerity whatsoever. She just cares that she's taking a lot of heat politically for her insensitive comment about people dying. So she's walking through a cemetery and she says, you know, I'm really sorry for saying what I said yesterday. Kind of. I'm paraphrasing. Because she's too strange to do it the way she did it. And she didn't talk about the policy or anything because the policy's ass, just taking Medicaid away from people. She starts going into this thing about how, yes, we're all going to die at some point. And next, should I talk about the tooth fairy? And then she says, but You should believe in my personal Savior, Jesus Christ. Let me say something about this thing, this hideous, haggard, fucking demon. Jesus never knew that, okay? Never will know that. How do I know that? By what she said yesterday. That's a worthless waste of oxygen. When you bring up the fact that people are going to die because you voted to take their medical coverage away. And you say, well, you know, we're all going to die. Says the woman who gets government-funded health care you pay for. Literally. For the rest of her life. And a pension. Just because she weaseled her demon ass into the Senate somehow. Again, this is Republican politics right here. I don't care. I'm okay. So I'll vote to take people's, health care away. I got a nice house. I got a nice car. I got a cushy job that the taxpayers pay my salary, my health care, everything, my pension. Why should I care? If I vote to take people's health care away, I get to keep my nice house, my prestige, my status, my power. I don't get to keep my soul, though. That's the problem with those decisions. For all the people out there that say it's just business. It was the weirdest non-apology apology I've ever heard in my fucking life, and she dared let the name Jesus cross her lips and try and convert you as she's stealing your Medicaid. As she says, well, we all got to die. I'm just going to live a lot longer than you, and you're going to pay for it because I'm in government. Yeah, Jesus never knew this, and it's people like this cunt right here are the reason so many people don't take the church seriously, don't take Christianity seriously, don't take Jesus seriously. She's a perfect example of what I tried to convey a few times on video here about the fake Christians, the churches that are doing all this wrong inside their church. And we keep seeing headlines about it, and then we wonder why no one wants to be part of the church. I don't blame the people, do you? Of course not. When Joni Ernst is the face of the Christian church in America. And after she says she doesn't give a fuck if you die, that's why I voted to take away your health care. The next day she's popping Jesus and trying to convert you. That's why people hate the church. That's why people don't take the Christians in this country fucking seriously. This demon today, my God, I couldn't believe what I witnessed. Again, I posted the link to her video. If you want to see weird sociopathy in a cemetery, go check it out. It's in the post section. You got to scroll back. The link's there, and you can watch this. I use this picture for the post on YouTube in the post section. Unbelievable, man. Unfucking believable. Okay, we're at the end. Let me light a ciggy for the end here, because you're really going to love this one. Leon's daring to say that he doesn't do drugs. Did you hear me? Just like he dared to say the next morning after he slapped up one of the most sincere Nazi salutes I've ever seen in my life, because I haven't seen that many. And he tried to say, yeah, I didn't do a Nazi. What are you talking about? That's not a Nazi salute. But we all saw it, Leon. We saw you do it. That wasn't a Nazi salute. What are you bloody talking about? Here we go again. Leon obviously gacked up to the gills today with a fucking shiner, looking like he came out the trailer park or something. And he gonna try and dare say son, that he doesn't do drugs. And I don't care if adults do drugs. I really don't. The problem with drugs is, are you going to let it take over your life or not? That's the real challenge with drugs. Can you just do a little bit of drugs and just chill one night? Or are you going to let those drugs take over your life? That's the real challenge, isn't it? Well, Leon's let it take over his life, obviously. He's out of control. And some people are like that. There are those of us that can do a little bit of drugs when we feel like it and put it down. There are others that, a lot of human beings, their mentality, I don't know why. They don't know why either. If they have a whole counter full of drugs, they have to do them all that night, all at once. A lot of humans have this thought process, and it's instinctive within them. Others maybe get depressed, and through a drawn-out long period, they get addicted. Others can put the shit down and handle their life business and not let the shit take over their life. Leon's letting it take over his life. And it's obvious, and it's sad to watch. So let's read Leon deny that he takes drugs. Also, to be clear, I'm not taking drugs. That's in all caps, the N-O-T, and an exclamation point. The New York Times was lying their ass off. I tried prescription ketamine a few years ago and said so on X. So this is not even news. It helps for getting out of dark mental holes, but haven't taken it since then. The richest man in the world, who just fired 1 million government workers, helped cut aid programs, took food out of children's mouths. People don't have jobs, people don't have food, all kinds of things because of that fat cunt. He's going to talk about, dark mental holes. Well, what do you have to be in a dark mental hole about, you fucking sociopathic cunt? Demon. Nothing. You got everything. And then you still feel the need to take from others and take welfare from the government. My God, you're the biggest leech ever. Now, again, he shows up gacked out of his mind to the White House. He could barely talk at different points. I couldn't even understand him. He's getting the crawls and tweaking right in the fucking Oval Office on camera with a shiner, son. And he dares later on. He dares write this. And I know a lot of you elitist people, you think because the TV shows want you on there, that whatever you say will be taken as gospel. And the only reason they want you on there is because you're rich. If you weren't, they wouldn't look at you twice. So you think just because you're the ones that get the access to the cameras, and you always do, that whatever you say will just be taken as gospel. No, son. You were gacked up today at the White House, let's be honest. You were gacked up on Inauguration Day. You've been gacked up every day. You got a shiner on your eye. You're tweaking right next to Donnie as he's trying to give a speech. And now you want us to believe that you don't do drugs except for some ketamine you did a few years ago. Yeah, I'm not buying that, son. And again, remember, if we want an example again, Leon did his Nazi salute, all proud and sincere, with his chest out. And then the next day he was crying. I didn't do a Nazi salute. The press is demonizing me. He just said this recently. Well, what's the press lying about, Leon? That I'm a Nazi? Motherfucker, you threw up a Nazi salute. You got a Nazi haircut. You dress like a Nazi officer. You just don't have the insignias on. That may change in the future. Don't worry. Because these people are about tired of hiding. Not that you're really hiding when you do a fucking Nazi salute, right? Again, so Leon can come to the White House as if he had just left a trailer park brawl after smoking some crack. With a shiner. Slurring his words half the time. Tweaking right next to Donnie as Donnie's giving a speech. Leon's tweaking, looking at the ceiling, neck rolling and shit. And then the cretin dares say, I wasn't on drugs. I don't do drugs. I haven't done drugs in years. Come on, man. Like Joe Biden, like Crazy Joe said, come on, man. And the Nazi salute, man, we all saw it. We all saw Donnie tried to overthrow the government. And you people just say it didn't happen. That's why you're a Satan. Do you understand how that works? Straight inversion of reality for an agenda, an evil agenda. That means you're a Satan. Trying to help you, son. I know it makes you mad to hear someone say this stuff about you out loud. I know. But it's true. I'm trying to help you. Believe it or not. I know I have kind of a harsh and abrasive and blunt manner and way of doing it. But that's just me. So in closing, two things. Leon will do, this is the type of entity Leon is. He will do a Nazi salute right in your fucking face. And then the next day he will say he didn't do a Nazi salute and he's not a Nazi. He'll be gacked up with a shiner at the White House, tweaking right next to Donnie. Just tweaking. Tweaking. And then later on in the day, while he's tweaking, he will say he doesn't do drugs and expect you to believe that. And before I leave you, I want to stress this again. The Palantir thing, the Peter Thiel thing. I didn't know much about Thiel before this whole Reich thing got started. And Leon came to prominence. That's when I learned of his roots with Thiel and others. But I've been focusing on Leon. Other people have focused on Thiel. I know a lot about him now. Basically, his whole history. This thing with Thiel is the cap on the snow cone. Think about the past 4 months. What was one of the main stories again? One of the main stories was Doge accessing your information, my information, classified information, and the fights in court over that, the fights in the different departments over that. Then comes again, Doge tries to access one of the last systems. They create accounts and passwords. 15 minutes later, the Russians have the passwords. They're trying to log in with actual credentials. Then we hear about this new AI, artificial general intelligence, that Altman is building, and infrastructure that goes along with it. Infrastructure called data centers. God, that sounds fucking dystopian, by the way. Data centers. There's only one kind of thing, or one thing they would need data on, son. That's you. You fucking rube. What other data would be in the data center? What other data would the Reich and the Nazi Leon and the Nazi Peter Thiel, the gay Nazi Peter Thiel, what other information would they want in there? Or what information would they want in? Well, that'd be your information, son. So you add everything I just said, the data centers, the Russians, Doge stealing your info, Leon stealing your info, and you add that last piece to the story. Huge contracts going to a guy named Peter Thiel, who just happened to grow up in South Africa and do Nazi salutes too, just like Leon. And he's going to form files, gather information on every American citizen. And then comes the AI on top of it, and Leon's satellites, and constant surveillance, and your neighbor telling on you. Actually, your neighbor won't really have to tell on you. You'll be under constant surveillance. They'll have every bit of information about you. That's where this is going. Whether you like it or not, they already have your information. Vlad already has your information. Peter Thiel already has your information. Leon Scum already has your information. Too fucking late. Thiel's already got the contracts. Leon's got the contracts. Altman's got the contracts. Let me say one more thing let me get off the data centers thing. Really think about that and pay attention to what's going on with that Palantir, Thiel, data centers, info on you situation. Pay attention, because you're watching the downfall of your nation, and every secret about you be given out to people. Already happened. Over. Forget about it. Too late to stop it. When one is considering whether we're really in the apocalypse, Donnie's really the Antichrist, you're seeing a Reich form. One of the questions I asked myself today, one of the further verifications, this Antichrist person and his movement, one of the main factors of it, one of the main nuances of it, is hatred of women. It's stated in plain English in the story. I've never seen a movement since I've been born with such disdain for women. A lot of people interpreted that piece of scripture, he will have no regard for the God of women, desire of women, however you want to word it. There's several different translations. A lot of people took that piece of scripture to mean the Antichrist would be gay. I'm noticing a lot of gay men around this situation. That doesn't reflect the Christian family values that you people talk about. And again, I don't care if you're gay or not. That's not the point I'm making, son. The point I'm making is there's a disdain for women. These specific gay men have. There's a disdain for women Donnie Shitbags has. There's a disdain for women that Leon has. His baby mamas got to contact him on Twitter for their payment because he ignores them and throws them to the curb after they've had his fucking children. And, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if Leon's gay too. So a lot of people took that piece of scripture to mean that the Antichrist must be gay. I wondered about that. I learned later on that from Brother James Key that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Doesn't necessarily mean the Antichrist is gay. And that was a solid insight by him. But it could also mean this. Both. The movement has a disdain for women, and there's many gay men involved with it as well. Because in the Nazi Reich, again, a lot of those Nazis at the top were gay. And again, I'm not trying to demonize gay people here. I'm trying to make a point about a story written over 1,000 years ago. And the part about he'll have no regard for the God of women, that comes from thousands of years ago. That's in another book, not Revelation. Same story, different book. So several of the key kind of ways you can ask yourself, you know, am I right about this? Could this be supernatural? Does it conform with the story? Exactly. Again, I've never seen a movement with this kind of disdain for women in my 50 years. Donnie's all about dissing women. We've seen it. We've watched it. Just could care less. This Reich, these people at the top right now, they personify that sentiment. This anti-woman sentiment. Donnie personifies the head wound thing, miraculously healing. God saved his life. His whole Reich is based around that moment. Another verification. I could go on and on all night, but I really wanted to make the point about he'll have no regard for the God or desires of women. You've watched this movement for 10 years. What would you say to this? Proud Boys, misogynist, male-dominated. That's important to Alexander Dugin. That's important to Thale. That's important to Leon. Do you understand? So that story written thousands of years ago with the line that says, he'll have no regard for women. What better personifies that than what we have seen this past 10 years? I've never seen anything like it. So every time I doubt myself, or I'll just have a session with myself where I ask myself, are you missing something? Are you wrong? Are you right? Let's go over it again. That's one of the things I thought of today, that hatred of women. Boy, this Reich's all about it. It's obvious and they don't hide it. And Mr. Dugin, who wrote the manifesto for this, he made a point in his manifesto. It's got to be male-based. It's got to be male-dominated. That attitude, that philosophy. So one more time, that piece of scripture personified by this Reich in many ways. In the gay way and the non-gay way. Just straight hatred of women. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying all gay men hate women. I'm saying these gay men hate women. These specific ones. And it's obvious. I have my, concerns with Mr. Miller. Concerns with JD. Patel. Bongino. Mr. Tate. I know he's not in government, but, he's part of this movement. The misogynist, male-dominated pimp movement. Remember what Mr. Tate said, and I guess I'll end it. I don't even have sex with women for pleasure. Yeah, son, a straight man would never say that. I've been in a lot of locker rooms, and I've been in a lot of private male discussions. I never heard one man in all those meetings just out of the blue say, I don't even sleep with women for pleasure. What'd you say, motherfucker? What the fuck did you just say? Yeah, no straight man would ever say that, ever. So yeah, there's a strong element of specific gay men that really hate women, and then some of them are not gay, and they hate women too. And it just perfectly personifies that piece of scripture from thousands of years ago. There's so many verifications. And again, always remember the AI-generated commercial with the 40-foot golden Donnie statues on the Holy Land. I'll never forget it, son. I was stunned when I saw that commercial. Again, here I am in a car with sunglasses saying the most outlandish shit in front of you people about what's going to take place and what these people are and what they're like. Then they put out the proof of it via the commercial. The literal proof. Gold statues of a guy named Donnie Shitbags on Gaza, in Gaza. I mean, I was stunned when it came. I'm like, these people just prove everything I fucking say. But again, I had the Cliff Notes. I'm not taking credit here. I had the Cliff Notes, and I've been paying attention. That's all. So consider what I've said, and consider how the Reich personifies that attitude of hatred of women, no regard for the God or desires of women. obvious right in front of our face. Anyway, until the next episode, have a great day.